We rolling. Yay. Hi, I'm Charlotte Edmonds and welcome to this series of Cameo. I'm here with the wonderful Blue Makwana. Introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. So I'm Blue Makwana and I'm a dancer, choreographer and teacher.
We are going to start each episode, this series, with some quick fire questions. Okay. So what was the first piece of dance you ever saw?
It would have been a video of my mum at Lane Theatre Arts. Yeah, VHS.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it would have been a recording of her doing her pieces.
How would you describe your work in one word?
Versatile.
What was the last dance piece you loved?
Crystal Pipe Betroffenheit.
What's your rehearsal room essential?
Snacks.
You have a very good snack table.
Thank you.
When did you last cry?
Can't remember.
Ooh.
I'm not a big crier.
No, you're not. What brings you comfort?
Knowing that people I'm working with feel taken care of and safe.
What gives you hope?
Seeing people who still have such a drive to try to make the world a little bit better with what they can do.
What's the biggest misconception you've heard about you or your work?
I don't actually read anything about my work, but I remember being told something about my first stage commission at Sadler's Wells, Lillian Bayliss. There was something to do with the work being sexual, and that wasn't the intention.
What is your biggest achievement?
Wow, that's such a big question. I think being able to steer away from the narrative that is put on what your history is in your family. This is due to my mum. She's broken that cycle. So I think it's actually an achievement, but it's because of what my mother did for myself and my siblings.
How would you describe the dance industry right now in one word?
Oversaturated.
I remember you telling me that when you were accompanying your mum at her ballet and jazz classes, that's when you were first introduced to dance. Do you remember what it was when you watched your mum that made you think, I want to dance?
She was just having so much fun, but she's also so beautiful. My sister and I used to go to watch her classes, and I'm so grateful that she took us with her. We'd sit at the back and we'd draw, but we'd come home and just make. And we actually still have some of our dances on film somewhere. I was really drawn to the fact that she was doing something so amazing with her body. Yeah, that's what inspired me to get into dance. I feel so privileged to be able to use my body in an artistic way.
As you began to develop your ability and love for dance, how did the career path of choreography reveal itself for you?
Being on the Centre for Advanced Training programme at the place meant that I was able to explore creativity, which was amazing. And I think that was invaluable for me. And I was also surrounded by so many creative people who are still creating amazing work to this day. And then from there, I went to the Brit School for 4 years, which was amazing. And I owe a lot of my success to being at the Brit School and on the CAP programme. And they really supported me with making my own dance work. And I created a female dance company called Inflorescence. And over the years, I was just figuring out what do I want to say, what is part of my movement language, which now I realise is super versatile, and that's because of the training that I have received, which I'm so grateful for. And then from there, it just developed into receiving invitations to create different projects, and I really owe a lot of it to beginning my creative journey on the CAP programme.
Speaking of training, you trained in ballet, jazz, contemporary, commercial and musical theatre. How do you lean into these genres in your work?
For me, I go with what feels right at the time. I like to tap into all of the styles, depending on what feels right at the time. But I do love to fuse styles, techniques, and I find that really exciting. And I also find that exciting within my teaching. It adds something to your skill set, which is really beautiful to see. And it is so wonderful to see one technique complementing another technique.
Definitely. And I love that artists are evolving their style constantly. Do you feel like there's a pressure for artists to define their style when they've entered the industry or as soon as they enter the industry?
To some extent, yes. I was really trying to figure out how to articulate what my style is when I was, after I graduated. But now I feel really fortunate that I have so many different techniques and styles to draw from. I create. And I also really enjoy just making art. I think what lies at the core of my work though now, and this is something that I have figured out, is that I'm dedicated to maintaining technical work. That's something that I'm really passionate about now, because I feel like it's not being as supported anymore. That's health and safety for me as well as something that is artistic. I've had to work so hard to ensure that I can do ballet and contemporary techniques to a high level and also safely. And for me, it feels like quite sad that it's not being as encouraged to really practice a discipline. I don't want to lose them. I want to keep hold of them. So, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you touched then on training hard and working hard, and you work professionally as a dancer now as well as a choreographer. And you've performed with companies like New Adventures and most recently John M. Chu's 2024 film adaptation of Wicked. How do you balance opportunities to perform and choreograph? Does the chance to create your work always come first? Or is it a combination that's important to you?
It's a combination and it's a constant juggle. I feel really fortunate to be able to juggle so many wonderful things and to be asked to dance and then to be asked to choreograph. So it's always about trying to, figure out what is right for me at that time. Sometimes it's, it takes making a hard decision and letting something really exciting go. But those are the sacrifices that you have to make sometimes. But I'm lucky to be in that position, so yeah.
Leading the room is so important when developing a new work, and it's unique to every artist. And I've had the privilege of working with you on your piece for Sadler's Wells in the programme of 4 called Toasted. I'd love to know, on the first day of a new project, what's at the forefront of your mind as you make your way to the studio?
Well, if it's my project that I'm in charge of, then for me, I really make sure that there's a good kit for people I'm working with, for my dancers, which, means that there are loads of snacks, loads of pieces of equipment that they can use for their bodies. I think it's really important for people you're working with to be taken care of, and I really wish that would happen more. And I'm confused as to why it doesn't.
And what is the one thing you do for you?
One thing I do for me is I make sure that there's at least one song that is going to get me motivated. That's what I like to have. Just one. That's all I need. There are often more, but as long as I've got one that can, inspire movement. I've actually got a playlist called Feel Good, No Bad Vibes. And it just instantly perks me up.
The piece Toasted, which premiered in October 2024, explored the idea of being cancelled. Why did you explore this?
It's the first time someone said it. I lightly explored it, and I say lightly because I feel like the length of the piece didn't allow me to go deeply into it, because it's such a sensitive topic that, I would love to explore further. I question how easy it is to cancel people nowadays, and there's also soft cancel culture, and it's being practiced in so many places, whether that's in a school, whether that's in a work environment, and then, you know, it's being practiced to a mass scale on social media, and I find that incredibly frightening, and I think it's having a massive impact on how people navigate their lives nowadays, how they engage in conversations, how they engage in conflict. So yeah, that's why I decided to lightly explore it. Thank you for being part of the piece.
Oh, thanks for having me. I was the one that got cancelled.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it was great. It was good. It was such a great experience. And it kind of leads me on nicely to the next question, which is setting expectations can be key in fostering good working relationships in a project. And you really led us as a group so beautifully and set expectations so wonderfully. Have you ever felt, though, that walking into a room, that there was an expectation of you and your work that you've had to set straight or disprove?
I feel like, because I'm quite tough in the sense that I'm super driven as a person. I don't understand laziness. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's something that I have ingrained in me, and I'm really grateful for that. But because of that, I think I walk into a room and I'm like, right, let's go. And people are like, whoa. Especially in the UK. I think it's actually a little bit different when I go to other countries, and I've taught in other countries. It's like a rocket, you know, up their arse. Just because I just want to go. I just want to get things done, you know. And we've got work to do, and we can work hard. So I feel like there might be a misconception that I'm a little bit like scary, and I say that because someone said that to me recently, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're a little bit scary, but you're absolutely not." And I was like, thank you. I literally want to be anything but scary, but I just think because I'm so driven that can be taken maybe the wrong way, literally within like 5 seconds, and then that is quickly dissolved.
Dissipated, yeah. That's in the rehearsal room. What about in a production situation where we're less in the physicality of a dance space and more in the expectation of you and slightly different collaborators that are more part of a venue or part of a space? Is there a shift there, or does it remain the same?
From what I'm experiencing as a choreographer, I feel like there's an expectation for you to sometimes know everything. And we don't. I don't think anyone knows everything. And I think that's totally fine. And I'm quite confident with asking questions, you know, or saying, actually, I don't know how this works. Or for example, if I'm working with a lighting designer, I'm like, can you just go through everything that's available for me, please? And let's just go through it so I'm not just kind of left to feel like I should know what every single fixture is. It just eases the pressure. But I think that's a misconception, that we're just going to know all of the technical elements involved. Yeah. That's what I've experienced anyway.
Definitely. Without naming names, what do you think is the key to dealing with those difficulties on a project that we've all experienced? Whether it be difference in personalities, creative outlook, or scheduling and availability?
It happens a lot, unfortunately. But I think you learn from it. What I've understood over time is that there's so much pressure with what we do, with what creatives do in general. And sometimes if I feel like I'm met with confusing or like terse energy, I will just step back and, you know, be quite quiet so I can observe and just, you know, let people have their space and let them navigate any situations, and figure out, how to go through something amicably, because I don't want any animosity. You know, we don't need it. Yeah. There's enough of that in the world.
As you left training, looking back, do you remember how you felt as you began navigating the industry? Did you feel prepared, or was there any shocks?
I did feel prepared, but that's because I started getting myself set up, as I say, before I graduated. I just knew that it would be too late when you've left, because you graduate and then you're alone. And I was just forward thinking, and I just said, no, I'm going to get myself set up. If that means building on my teaching experience, then I'm going to do that. And then, yeah, I started to choreograph before I graduated professionally. So then I left and I was okay. My year actually went into COVID. We graduated, and then in March, following our graduation, everything stopped. So it was really hard for the people in my year to continue, but because I had started already, I had something there to hold on to and continue with over the pandemic.
You were a 2023 to 2025 Sadler's Wells Young Associate Choreographer, and most recently a recipient of the 2024-2025 Verve Research Commission. What has been the most rewarding part of these experiences so far?
Being able to have the time to play and explore, but also with an outcome. I think exploration is wonderful, and it was just so useful to have a goal and have something to work towards, and to be able to work with bodies in the space is a real luxury. A lot of artists who are so great at what they do don't get the opportunity to experiment.
Something significant to me early on was creating work in incredible spaces and learning from some of the greats. But one thing that it did shine a light on was the importance of identifying and vocalizing what you need as an artist in order to create your best work. Have you mastered that skill?
No.
I haven't.
No. I don't know who has. Who has mastered that? I will always, for as long as I live on this earth, will always be learning. And I'll never be a master, I don't think so anyway.
During a project, vocalizing what you need as an artist in order to create your best work, and most importantly, having had it heard and listened to, has there been a situation where that's really disrupted the project?
Oh, fortunately, I've had it go my way.
Great.
But
do you have any tips?
that's because I've had conversations, like honest conversations, and also asked what that person needs, because it's not just me involved. Even when it comes to my works, I'm not the only one working on it. I've got people to support. I have had people to support, which has been really amazing, and I've had collaborators. It's conversation.
It's a conversation. Is that how you took matters into your own hands?
Yeah. Yeah. But I've just asked what they need. What do they need? What do they need from me? What do I need from them? And what do we need to do together to actually create a product? We are in such a privileged position to be able to make work to the scale that we're making it, in such a rich city. So I would feel really guilty for not taking advantage of that. So I'm not going to let something go. I'm not going to let an opportunity pass me by, or fall down the drain. I'm going to save it because we can. We're in that position.
Generating opportunities is so important, particularly when addressing issues like gender imbalance in our industry. But how do you think we can better support female non-binary artists and ensure they're fully equipped to make the most of these opportunities once they're through the door?
Having a supportive team available to assist with guidance. I'm having a lot of conversations around development and what that looks like. And I feel like a lot of people are being put into positions, but not being given the support and care that they need at an early stage in their career. And I feel like being able to provide that means that, you know, they can have a fair chance and a fair shot at going somewhere, you know, and taking that further.
I know you're not a huge fan of social media, but you do have this great page on your website titled Tool Pack for Artists, which you're always updating with resources like how to find auditions or where companies are advertising their opportunities. You said this comes from experiencing a reluctance to share useful information within the industry. Why do you think this is?
I wonder why. I think people are so stingy. And I always questioned this when I came in to the industry, and I was a bit disheartened by it. I think people are scared, which, you know, I understand there aren't enough opportunities for everyone. So I would think that is why people don't share much information. But, you know, I would like to share what I know. But it's funny you say this because I was thinking about removing my website. So I don't know how long that will be there. But whilst I have my website, I do want to share the opportunities that I'm fortunate to know about. And this actually started from having conversations with students that were graduating and just felt like they had no idea what to do or how to generate income when they left college. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking, you've paid how much money to train to come to an institution, but you're not being given any information to help you when you graduate. I question that. So I was just like, well, I'm going to make something and then put it on my website and then see. I don't know if anyone uses it. I should probably have a look.
I'm sure they do.
We'll see.
As an artist, what is your relationship with social media and public-facing publications like websites or articles?
I don't like social media, but I understand that it's useful. So I'm trying to figure out how I navigate that. I wish I could be better at it, but to be honest, I don't want to spend more time on it. I think it's such a toxic place. So yeah, I have a healthy relationship with it, actually, with social media, which I would like to maintain. The reason why actually I still keep my website is so I could get rid of social media and still have an online presence, because I think that is useful. I really am inspired when people don't have that but are still, you know, doing incredible things, but they're most likely of a different generation. So that is, something that I have to consider.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like developing students and young artists is really important to you. And so it's no surprise that teaching is a key part of your career. What do you aim to instill in your students when teaching a class?
Work hard.
Should we then move on? I was going to say.
You know, hard work gets you so far.
Yeah.
It gets you so far. I was very, very, very fortunate to only know what hard work is through seeing my mother. And that's where I think I've got that quality from. That's what I want to, that's the number one thing I want to impart.
I've observed that many students are graduating and performing abroad. What do you think needs to change to strengthen the presence of dance in the UK today?
More opportunities and an increase of funding, I think would definitely help change that. But I also think the pay is bad here. It just is. And it doesn't seem to be going up, yet inflation is like at an all-time high. So I think that is definitely deterring a lot of people from staying in the United Kingdom. if they have an opportunity somewhere else. But it's sad because I think, especially London, our scene is amazing. It's so exciting. We have access to so much, but the dollars have to go up, or the pounds, should I say, have to go up at some point. Please.
We've spoken about all things industry when we've worked together or when we've seen each other. And we've had somehow similar starts in joining platforms or programs as like a way to enter a career in the arts. But how have you found the process of breaking into the dance industry as a female artist?
I've been really supported, and I have like so many great people there to cheer me on, whether that's from the places I trained or my family. So I feel quite lucky and privileged that I've been having a great time with navigating that journey as a female. But I really do understand that it is tough as well. There are certain ways of navigating this industry that we find harder to do or struggle with because I don't know if we're taking it as seriously. That's how I feel. And I hope that shifts. But I think, I really do think that it's harder to be listened to or heard.
How do you map out your goals in the future? Right now, are there any potential artists, companies or commissions that you spotted that you're setting a plan of route of how to reach?
I'm really bad at that. And actually that's something that I'd really like to get better at. I really admire when people approach a company, a person. I think that's so great. I haven't got there yet. And I hope that, I can figure out a way to do that. I want to do that tastefully. I worry that some people don't do that tastefully. So I want to, figure out how I can do that in a really good way. But I'm working on that.
Have there ever been moments where you've had to turn things down? How do you feel about saying no?
Yeah, plenty of times. Sometimes I have one thing that is great, and then something comes in that I think is greater, but I've committed to something. And yes, it's really hard, but I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I've had to make those decisions, but it's tough.
If you could go back in time, what's one thing you know now as an artist that Little Blue would want to hear as they were starting out their career?
That rest is actually important. I'm still not very good at that, but my amazing stepdad recently lent me a book, Why We Sleep. And was it Why Do We Sleep? One of the two. And I started reading it, and it's terrifying. And that's something that I really need to work better at, because it actually is super important. So that's something that I wish I knew, and I hope to continue remembering.
Generating opportunities is so important, particularly when addressing issues like gender imbalance in our industry. But how do you think we can better support artists and ensure they are fully equipped to make the most of these opportunities once they're through the door?
Ensuring the support systems are there is so important, especially as a female. I just know that it's really great to have people that you can talk to, that you can bounce off of. I'm still trying to find who like those people are for me. You're definitely so amazing to talk to, because it's so important to have people that you can share stories with and converse with, because it's a lonely path. That's what I'm really figuring out as a choreographer. Yeah.
It's really lonely.
Yeah.
It's good to have allies. Your mum sounds so influential. Tell me who she is.
Michelle Ballantyne, superstar. She actually works at English National Ballet now as the project lead for Ballet Futures. And she was a dancer. She still teaches as well. She is just amazing. If it wasn't for her, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am now. And what she's doing now to change the landscape of classical ballet, or at least try to change that, is so important. And yeah, she's an inspiration.
What do you feel is the biggest challenging facing artists in the industry right now?
I think the financial side of it is tough for artists, especially in London. I think a lot of people are actually struggling and people aren't talking about it enough. I hope that shifts and improves and changes, so people can stress less.
Definitely.
Because it's definitely stressing people out, I think.
Yeah, it has a huge impact, like emotionally, creatively. It's really challenging. I think everyone is just trying to survive at the minute.
Yeah.
Which is quite far away from where we were, like 3 to 5+ years ago. Yeah. On a nice note, what's your favourite piece of memorabilia from a place, person, or project?
So I actually have some of my mum's silver skates from Starlight Express. She was Buffy at the Apollo Victoria. And actually, I remember finding these in the loft years ago, and I saw them and I was like, I really like silver. So I feel like that's where my silver
You do like silver.
Obsession has come from. Yeah, I don't really wear any other metal.
It's really nice.
And at the time I thought they were glittery. It turns out they're not, but I think that's why I love silver glitter as well. So yeah, these are from my mum, and I also have, it's a little bit gross, but her wig hair from when she was in Cats. And I'm so inspired by the fact that she did these wonderful productions and has so many great memories to share with me. So that's really beautiful to hold on to. I'm going to keep that safe for her because I don't want her to misplace any of those. And then my last one, which you might recognise.
Yeah. Oh my God, these are my
your boxing gloves from Toasted, which I actually,
blinged
as
up.
you know, I blinged up myself.
Got the silver on there.
Yeah, actually has correlation to my mum's skates. But these are really important to me because I think it felt like quite a bold decision to make that piece. I remember when I figured out what I was going to make, and I had the title before I made the piece, and I was actually in conversation with my mum. My mum I actually have to say, she really came up with the name Toasted. She was like, I think I said toast, and she was like, Toasted. I was like, oh, okay, so credit to my dearest mother. And these gloves, I mean, they're yours, aren't they? That's literally your glove.
Look at the left and the right in there.
Yeah. I was asked about this after I did the piece, about why they were Diamante. And it's because, the piece was exploring something really painful, and that's what the boxing glove signifies. But because of social media looks so glamorous sometimes, which is why the Diamantes are on here, but it's really not glamorous. It's like, it's cool. Painful. It's a violent thing that we have access to now. And that's what these represent. So thank you for wearing them and putting them on so fast. Yeah, such a quick change.
Finally, we would love to ask all our cameos to plug, shout out loud and proud about whatever they're working on or something they should go and see. So is there anything that's coming up for you that you want to share?
I'm working on a production of Romeo and Juliet at Stratford East, which is going to be super exciting in August. And I'm also thinking about setting up a clothing line, yeah, it's quite risque. Basically, I made a t-shirt probably last year, and it had some text on it questioning our industry. So I'm really interested in making a line that has text that people are thinking but aren't necessarily saying. Yeah, it's for artists. So that is something that I'm working on.
Thank you, Blue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to English National Ballet for hosting this conversation at the Mulrine Centre for Dance in East London.